Yeah, I don't know if you could hear that, but he goes, if I scream loud enough, I'm sure Megan's mic will pick me up. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't take any notes, and it's been 3 weeks.
Oh,
Okay, I have
that's
my notes.
heartbreaking.
I'm ready. Unless John wants to go.
He's not even at his mic.
He
Shoot.
says he has notes too, and he's sitting down. Would you like John to do the recap? Previously on D&D.
Go for it. I feel like, Meg, you do it more often than not.
We began and ended the session in the same Umberwelk cave. We are still, no, we have met the minimum amount of Umberwelk meat requirement for the side quest to collect said Umberwelk meat. We discovered the other species in the cave is the algae hulls. They do a disgusting algae slime spit attack. We made our way through difficult for some, easier for others encounter with the Umberwilk recovering 5 pounds of Umberwilk meat and 1 whole Umber shell fragment, adding to our Umber stalk, or our algae hull stalk and our algae hull shell fragments times 2. And then left on kind of the indecisive cliffhanger if we had to withdraw from a Umberwilk boss battle. A large creature that made a rumbling noise from the depths emerging from a as of yet unexplored area of the cave to the south. We withdrew though because some people were low on HP and party resources, and we decided, at least in that moment, discretion was the better part of valor, and we'd talk about strategy and opportunity when we reconvened. I think that's everything.
Yeah, Foob, this would have been a great time for you to bite the bullet on that one because there was very little to actually go over. And
Yeah,
you
but I actually
totally could have been.
forgot.
You could
I
have
have
been
terrible
like,
memory.
man, we did this fight, and
We
that
fought
was
some
it.
things, and then there
And
were
then
some
you'd been good
shells,
for forever.
and then we got some meat. We went to Arby's because they had the meats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Morthos used all of his spell slots. I think Mira used all of her spell slots. I know Tychus got reamed. I still have
Yeah,
some stuff, and I don't remember. I know Rayun got beat up, but I think maybe he burned all of his lay on hand points.
that and I think a bunch of like second wind or not second wind healing points. I don't know his character sheet up. But yeah, he used a lot to get back to a decent level.
I'm currently sitting at half HP.
You are. But I mean, that's a good place for us to start, right? Is you guys fell back because the Umberwelk was not moving very fast, and that gave you an opportunity to get back to the ship. We can skip a lot of the travel. There might have been a dinghy involved, not sure, but either way, you get back to the ship and have the opportunity to take a rest of your preferred designation.
I have no spell slots, so I would love to take a full rest if we can afford it.
I mean,
Or if not, I can
Is
just
there
do
any
half
danger
a.
in us
in
doing
a
a long
meta
rest and going back in?
in the meta game like this, it'd be fun to see what kind of DM Zell is. I suppose if we take 8 hours and there's a creature in there, like it, we run the risk of it either leaving the cave or being intelligent enough or instinctive enough to fortify its defenses, or there's just natural cavern repopulation, so it might be more difficult going back in 8 hours than it is now. Or it could just run away and we come back to an empty cave and then there's no subquest. I don't mind taking a long rest. That's the only way I get my spell slots back. Short resting, I'm almost at full HP, doesn't get me any of my resources back. So if it was just a matter of HP, I'm fine saying 1 hour. But
Can I ask the crew what the tide will be like in 8 hours?
Uh,
Do they
well,
have any indication if the cave will be flooded in 8 hours?
yeah. So the like you ask everybody assembled, and right off the bat, shirt guy looks over looks over the rail at the water and puts his hand up high and then lowers it like 2 feet.
It's almost high tide.
So with a short
probably-
rest, what will I get back between Bardic Inspiration and spell slots? Anything?
I would have to look them up, but I think all that's long rest rechargeable.
That sounds right.
Spell slots for sure. I don't know about inspiration.
Well, let me just bring up her character sheet.
Yep, you regain expended uses on a long rest.
Yeah, all I'll be able to do is Vicious Mockery and bow fighting. I won't be able to heal or do like,
Amusing.
Fairy Fire.
We did it!
Yay!
Hello.
And so that's when we decided that we
Hello,
probably
Rayun.
shouldn't throw Rayun into the cave as
Alright,
bait.
fine. Stab
Whoa.
Hi, Rayun.
Hello.
Well, I'm going to ask right away, before we make any important decisions. Sav, do you remember every single thing that happened last session?
Snails. Goo.
Nailed it.
Snails and goo. Got it.
And there was a thing whispering at the end of the cave.
Mhm.
And
I'm so glad you guys remember this. I spend all my memory on work stuff, and I just forget about my own personal life.
And I remember the person that took the most damage was our rifleman.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure everybody took a pretty heaping helping of damage. But, yes, Holden took a lot of damage. You took a lot of damage. Morthos took a lot of damage. And I sat back and went, hee.
That is exactly what you did.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. You sound like Andros.
Like Jabba the Hutt.
Okay.
Oh. Zoro.
No Jabba, you bada.
Also, as my playing companion, I have Sky in my arms.
Yay, Sky's first D&D night.
Yes.
If I'm being honest, I actually know exactly the image that is inspiring that sound and reaction. And I can just post that.
Oh no.
That's amazing.
I have a video I need to respond with that with. Let me see if I can find it again.
So, now that we have also confirmed that Sav is up to date, we're back to the question of, are you guys resting and for how long? Full honesty, since Tri has mentioned it, and I'm pretty sure I at least mentioned it a little bit before, you are free to take as long a rest as you like.
There will be penalties
The-
for doing so.
There will be penalties.
Okay, well then let's just get back to it. Everybody make sure you got your healing potion. Your healing soup.
Oh boy.
Rayun, what do you have left in the tank?
Let me see. Let me pull it up. Well, 3 lay on hands, 1 second wind, no action surge. I love that word, by the way.
Action surge.
Action surge.
I can't say it.
AKSHUN.
Action.
Surge.
Surge.
SIRG.
Surge.
Action surge.
Say cool, cool. Now say whip, whip. Now say cool whip, cool whip.
Cool whip.
Watch me whip, whip. All right,
Now watch me neck.
I've got 2 spell slots left. A charge of my Misty Step. I'm feeling powerful and brave and strong. I think if we were voting in a democracy, I would say let's just go do this.
I'm ready.
I recommend a
Right.
short rest.
Short rest it is.
Short rest it is.
That didn't take much.
Okay. Well, everybody's free to spend the short rest however they like, but almost as soon as the word rest comes out of anybody's mouth, Morthos goes below deck and just passes out.
What a loser.
And boom, written out for the session. Nailed it.
He slept
Um,
a little too long.
No, he's taking care of everybody else on the boat.
What do we get from a short rest again?
I don't get any
Heck,
bardic
I know.
inspiration.
HP wise, HP dice wise.
Spells, no, for sure.
How many hit dice can I spend?
I believe you could spend as many hit dice as you like.
I choose to
Yes.
spend 2.
Up to the maximum number of hit dice, which is equal to your character's level. So
I spent 2,
all right.
and I'm out now.
Jeez.
And I get 17 back,
Seems all right.
which puts
It's
me
like-
back close to HP.
I was gonna say it's almost exactly what you needed.
It's at 35, I believe, which is pretty good.
I'm trying to figure out if I get. Oh no, never mind. I have to spend a long rest for the rest of my lay on hands.
We do
Yep.
get the Surge Boy.
Action surge.
We get back Action Surge.
Action surge.
Well, good news. I have finished my dinner.
Yay!
We did it. Now I can give you guys my full attention.
We
this
stalled
pasta
just
is done.
enough. We did it.
That's right. I was kind of, like I said, I was slow rolling it just for a second. So, you guys have enough of a breather to bandage yourselves up, get a nice drink of water, do some stretches, clean off some goo. There's a lot of goo. And I can put you guys comfortably back on. Oh my gosh, I have so many of these maps. I need to trim these down. Ugh! Let's go back to the cavern. I have also retreated you guys a little bit, as you know. Let's see. So I see, Rayun, I see that you still have a bunch of damage on you. Were you going to spend any action healing dice?
Yeah, I'll spend. Let's see. I'll spend 1.
Hit dice, that's what they're called. Healing dice makes more sense. That
9
seems
ain't
good.
bad.
Yeah? All right, well, I'm not going to stall too much longer. I just wanted to make sure I got taken care of because I think we all know roughly what's about to happen. Feel free to set your guys' self up in formation in the beginning of the next cavern.
I will be somewhere in the back, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
I will take up the front.
I'll be right here.
Okay. I'm going to, seeing that, I'm going to bump a couple people forward just a little bit so that nobody's in a wall. Except kind of Mira. But
I was kind of enjoying being the wall, but okay.
don't worry, you are the wall.
I don't want to be the wall.
Shut up, Tank.
That's Rayun. I'm the range tank.
And we have figured out that I can perpetually tank forever.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty effective. We'll see how effective it is as we get into this fight. Now, look, you guys have seen this cavern before. You've literally been here like an hour ago.
This is the head cavern
This is quite the cavern.
because it looks like a head.
It does kind of look like a head. You guys can see at this point there are a ton of stalagmites and stalactites all over this place, including all of these little circles that definitely look like columns, but are actually stalagmites, because I didn't make this map. But we're not going to make any checks. Like, you guys have figured this out a little bit. You know what you're looking for. You've seen the giant shell already. So with the low light being given off from over here, the magma glow, you guys can see one of these definitely is not like the other. And it even kind of knows, like, all right, listen, the jig's up. The invaders are back. And as best as it is able to put those thoughts together, being an evil fire slug, it puts those numbers together and lets out that same very guttural, rumbling chuckle. That same before letting itself drop to the ground. And let's just roll some initiatives.
That token art is perfect for that laugh.
Right?
Yep.
And, like, how wonderful is it? This is obviously not actually there, but how wonderful is it that I saw the creature that inspired that thing and then immediately saw that thing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is freaking perfect.
That's awesome.
I love it.
All right, and now I need to remember how to do this for myself, because I don't roll initiatives very often. But I hit this button. It's pretty good initiative for a snail. And then...
And it has a -2 and it still rolled better.
Yeah.
Nice. Sapper garbage.
I know.
I mean, I'm mostly surprised that you guys were caught flat-footed. You knew where the thing was. It didn't actually move that much in the hour. Except, how did it get on the ceiling?
From the walls.
Practice.
Practice. Going up the walls.
Till the sweat drops down the cave.
I was just
Balls.
singing that in my head. I'm so happy. I'm so happy it wasn't just me.
I don't know what song that is, but I'm kind of nervous about it because
Oh, you need
of
to
the
see
gross
Well,
situation.
the
It's
Down
to the
proposals
windows.
and
Explorers crawl.
watch Betty White sing it or dance to it. It's amazing.
To the window. To the wall.
It's
To the
my
sweat.
Favorite. It's my favorite.
Drips down my
portion of it.
balls.
Okay. Now I get the joke.
Skeet, skeet.
Well
Oh.
Skeet, skeet.
And that's why I
All
married
right.
you.
See, I've never actually heard that song before. I've just heard that last bit. Because how can you not when you're on the internet?
Uh-huh.
All right, it's all slowly coming together.
Okay, so
Okay.
I have a real question.
Please.
I can wait until my turn, if you prefer.
Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and take care of Holden's turn then, and
That
then we
sounds
can
good.
put the spotlight right on you. Holden. Is muted.
No, I'm just debating a
Okay.
course of action. Do you guys want me to go ham on it, or should we just like poke it a turn or two and decide how much we want to commit to it?
I feel like we have committed to it by coming back in this cave.
Well, but what I was saying is like there's perhaps more to the map, so like I don't want to, blow all of our wad and find out this was just the Guardian to the final boss.
Fair.
So like, do you want to poke it with a stick for a round or two and then find how out of our depth we are, or do we just alpha the sumbitch out the game and then deal with what's next later?
Alpha.
I need a pair of shoes to match my new Umberwelk belt, so...
Then I'm going to start by casting Fairy Fire on the duder. He needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
That is Featherfall. Also a
that's
funny
alright.
spell. You know,
Oh,
it
weird.
probably would have appreciated a Featherfall when
It's
it just jumped
happening
from the cavern.
every time I click on it.
It is.
Interesting.
That's from the spell book, not from my character sheet.
All
That's
right,
bizarre.
well, we got there eventually.
I apologize.
No, that's fine. I think that's hilarious, and I feel like if I had known that spell existed, there could have been some fun things to do with it.
DC 14 dexterity saving throw.
You know, let's be real. We've seen this thing does not have a good dex mod. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty bad.
Did roll great on initiative. Got him.
No.
I'm gonna move Glitch in, and he'll make his force empowered rend attack with advantage.
Okay. Well, good thing you had that advantage. Because, yeah, right as this thing is roaring, Glitch can see where the big mouth and proboscis are. And managed to get in, honestly, an absolutely grotesque but mildly effective hit. And, much like we've seen from a lot of the other shelled beasts in this cavern, in response to its proboscis being bitten, it slurps itself right back into its shell.
Figured that was coming.
Just in case you guys weren't ready for me to bring back the word slurp.
Slurp. I'm so happy you did.
I was just thinking it had been 2 weeks since I heard someone say short. Since Holden has move left, I'm gonna duck behind this wall because sometimes they explode with nasty stuff, and I don't want to be covered in it.
That makes sense.
Pass turn.
Okay. Well, Mira, you had a question,
I
and
did
my
have a
question is, what would
question.
you like to do?
So my question was, Vicious Mockery says, creatures I can see within range, but it doesn't give me a range on the spell. So what does that
Well,
mean?
that's weird.
Does that just mean that I can see it? Or does it have to be like a specific? Is there
I'm gonna
like a
double
generic
check your
spell
character sheet.
casting range?
Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to Google it real fast. That's what I've been doing for the last like 3 or 4 questions is, well, okay,
Oh.
what does this say?
I'm sorry, John showed me where to find it. And it is 60 feet. I didn't
It is
have
60
that
feet.
transferred. Okay, excellent.
Mhm.
And I can't Vicious Mockery him while he's in his shell, right? Because he can't see me and I can't see him.
No, you can totally see him. You just can't hurt him.
Oh, okay. And my next question is, are these things like columns? Could I hide behind one after I cast if I move?
I'm willing to say they are abnormally large stalagmites,
Okay.
but we're not talking like man-made caverns here.
But it would be enough for me to potentially like duck behind.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move myself over here. I'm going to be behind that little, well, I'll duck later. And I'm going to use my Vicious Mockery. And I'm going to yell, "I'm sorry, we were looking for an actual fight. Have you seen one?"
Got him.
And I have to
Whoa.
cast the spell.
I love that you are
That to the
mocking
key.
this thing while hiding like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
well, you know.
You're in your shell, I'm in mine.
Holden said they explode. I don't want to get gunk on me.
Let's see.
That's a job for the tanks.
Exactly.
So now I click this button, and it is sad.
Oh, I do feel a little bit bad when you say that.
Just like
They've been mocked viciously.
that sort of deflating that was the only way that you could see a character from a Nintendo 64 game dying because we didn't actually have animations, so like the whole polygons just like flattened a little bit. That's what we're talking about here. The whole thing just like kind of shrunk and like melted a little bit and just like, oh.
And I passed turn.
Fantastic. Well, it's going to take its turn, and doesn't have a lot of great options, but at the very least, is going to throw a bit of a tantrum. First things first, it's going to ever so slowly creep towards the thing that has
Oh no.
made it so mad. It's leaving its shell guard, by the way, because
Oh, does that mean that Glitch gets an attack of opportunity?
you know what? Yeah, as it hits this point, it's gonna trigger the attack of opportunity.
Get him, Glitch.
Dang. Are
Holy
we really
shit.
doing this again?
Get him, Glitch.
Rar.
Okay. Well, that
Does that trigger the sword?
it does re-trigger the Schlorp,
Oh no.
which is kind of funny. But I mean, look, let's be real. It's worth it. That's a lot of damage.
That's fair.
And gives me a second to try to narrate how you get a critical hit on a thing like this.
I think if it's a cat, if it's got like any kind of, podal suction feet, as soon as it, breaks friction with the ground to slide towards Mira, it's just trained to go after any vulnerability spot. So as soon as it sees that soft pink underfoot, it just tears its feet apart, trying to unbalance it or trying to hinder it, like a predatory cat might.
Okay.
And
So
I just
many
comes
good
back
sound
with
effects.
this roaring chunk of ripped suction poda
Mhm.
hanging out of its tooth like a second tongue.
Okay. Well. You know, I'm gonna have everybody make notice checks, if you wouldn't mind.
What is that?
What is a notice check?
I'm pretty sure that's perception. Yeah.
Oh.
Man, I got so many systems that I'm playing in. One of these days, I'm actually remembered all these skills are. Okay. Wonderfully, everybody but Holden, including the robot cat,
Just wanted to make it worse.
yeah, who didn't have advantage, but still did pretty well. This thing hemorrhages, and not just from where it was bitten previously, but just overall, this thing bleeds like it's a competition. And you see, like, this thing is leaving behind some pretty wicked puddles of blood, and that blood is definitely not natural. Instead, it is roiling. Like, as soon as it hits the goo on the ground, it starts bubbling and hissing. Nasty Icarus red and black.
And it makes sense that Holden didn't see it because he's behind a wall.
Yeah, totally.
Gross.
So, yeah, that's just a nice interruption of the action to point out that this thing, it can bleed.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Well, it's not going to do any of its cool attacks now because it can't move any further for many reasons. So instead, from behind, I suppose, actually probably roughly where that suction cup was ripped off, a jet black shot of that same blood and bile is going to be launched back at Glitch. With that button. Oh, well.
A miss.
It is a miss. And that is unfortunate, but that's okay. It happens.
I mean, it was viciously mocked, and then it had its weird tongue foot bit, so that makes sense.
Oh, I didn't even use the disadvantage yet. So it could get even worse. But you're right. Yeah, this poor thing didn't stand a chance. As it finishes that, however, it lets out just a second, we'll say, uncontrolled burst of that same bile. Not towards anybody in particular, but instead it collides with roughly where that bit of light is coming in from the side. Hopefully you can see those pings.
Nope.
That's a shame. It might be because I'm on the GM layer.
Here?
Either way. Yeah, there. It jostles some rocks loose as in response to that happening, and a bit of that liquid rock starts to pour into this cavern.
Ooh.
And that is its turn. Tyrus.
Tyrus is gonna go skeet shooting and shoot at this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna whisper skeet skeet motherfucker under his breath.
Oh dear.
And I'm gonna say, hot damn, hot damn.
Does that hit?
You know what? Yeah, do some math. It does actually. It hits, even though he's still in his shell.
Nice. Let's roll for damage.
Goodness.
That's pretty damn good.
Well, that is a lot of damage, and that's okay.
That's max damage for me.
Dang.
I'll take it.
So it is. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep making that number go down. That sometimes that feels all right. Anything else that you'd like to do?
No. I think that's all I want to do.
Okay. I will quickly add. More blood. That's all. Rayun.
Wait, hello. Let's see. Oh, and I'm also holding a puppy. So hold on. I think I'll just go in for an attack here.
Goodbye, face.
And I'll go in for a longsword attack here. $13 doesn't hit, right?
It does not.
Okay.
That you're just putting steel on scales at that point.
Right.
But, you connected with something, just nothing that would feel pain. If there's anything else you'd like to do, say the word.
I think that'll be it for now.
Okay. We're back to the top of the order with Holden.
We'll use the last of my spell slots to bonus action cast Hex. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. Oh, that's just rolling damage, I see. There's no save or anything. I was going to link the spell, but it adds a d6 to successful attacks. I will then make... He's in his shell, right?
Wow, that button actually worked this time. He is still in his shell.
Then a non-sharpshooting attack.
Mm-hmm. Even with advantage, that's
not gonna work. Yeah.
Not even close.
That would have been a lot of damage, though.
Move Glitch to here and pass turn.
Okay. Mira.
Yes. All right. Well, I am, I guess, going to try to short bow.
Every time you roll, I'm just all aflutter. That seems pretty good. Yeah, in fact, that seems so good that I think you should roll some damage.
5.
Okay. You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, you will.
I did
'Cause it
stuff.
means more blood.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Oh, right, and I guess I should take away some hit points. That's the sad part. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that is all I'm going to do at the moment because Holden is blocking my exit into the narrow area.
I just said I forgot to take my.
yeah.
I forgot to move back, and I took my hand off my piece.
Whoops. Well, at least Rayun, this isn't check worthy, right? This is just a thing that I'll say Rayun and Glitch can hear. Especially as you guys are doling out the harshness, you can hear inside that shell it's starting to, we'll say, gurgle, to boil a little. And that keeps going the more it gets its shell tapped on or occasionally get shot. There's been a lot of that happening. So as we get to its action, it pops out of its shell, and when it does, the entirety of its gooey Umberwelk underbody releases out from underneath that shell. It's
Umber sploot.
we're gonna go with a slightly less disgusting word this time around, but from that umber under comes not just more of that red-black blood goo, but also spikes like the one that the regular Umberwelk would spawn. And that roiling blood also erupts in the same gooey but weirdly piercing spikes in an ability that I decided to name Calamitous Remnants, because it was a little better than Umber Sploot, but not much. I'm kind of growing on that.
I like redacted.
Unless redacted.
You don't have clearance to read that.
So, right now, the only people who are going to be directly affected by it are Rayun and Glitch. And I'm going to say Mira as well, but I'm going to give you advantage on your deck save because you're behind that pillar. You're kind of like half and half, so.
$18.
Okay, well.
Oh, wait, I didn't do my saving throw button. I did my dexterity button. Is that the same thing? Oh, no.
It's better potentially, but your die roll. We can calculate it using your
Yeah,
initial die roll.
I'm going to use your initial die roll,
Okay.
which ends up being better than your deck save button. Because I'm not that mean person to be like, oh, well, the 13 fails, and that's your real roll.
Well, actually.
So, hey, I got one, and that feels good. The end result of this is, while Rayun and Mira, you guys feel a pull within those spikes that's going to probably draw you into some stuff you don't want to be a part of. Glitch gets a taste of that firsthand and literally gets sucked into being, for lack of a better term, stuck to the Umberwelk. And what that means is now, as the Umberwelk moves afterwards, we're just gonna go on a journey together.
Gross.
Right into that wall. So, oh, and I guess I should roll damage too, huh? That's the fun part.
That is the fun part.
All right, I've had worse rolls. I'm actually kind of pleased that so many of you guys made that save though, because that could be bad.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna call that turn there. Let's go to Tyrus.
Okay. Would I get a disadvantage from shooting so close?
I am not familiar with that. I know that is a thing in some systems. I don't think it is here.
Okay. Then if that's the case, I'm just going to shoot at him and see what happens. Potentially even pressing my rifle against him and just blast
No,
him.
you know what? It is apparently, according to the core rulebooks, you do have disadvantage if you're within 5 feet of a hostile creature who can see you.
Interesting. Okay. I think what Tyrus would do in this situation is he would take his rifle and try to place it right next to the thing and just shoot him. Whether that works or not, we'll see.
I feel that very strongly myself. So by all means.
Dang. First one would have been great. Oh well.
It
I
sure
don't
would have.
want to tell people how to play their character, but you have disadvantage until Fairy Fire ends. You have advantage, rather canceling out disadvantage.
Oh,
That's true.
So
Okay.
that first roll counts.
first roll counts then?
Well, actually,
That's fair.
no, it totally counts. Yeah.
Okay. And do some 5 damage to it.
That is some 5 damage.
Is it going to slurp?
It's not going to slurp, but it is going to bleed.
Okay. I'm going to attempt to go away. And move here. So it's going to get an attack of opportunity on me.
It sure is. Wow, I was not ready for that. Well, I'm not going to say no. It's probably best if it just try and fire off another spike of blood and bile at you because it's a little tired. That seems good.
Hits.
Sure does. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
9 damage. Nice.
I really appreciate that when I made this, I even put the description of what that attack looks like there so that I don't forget. But
Gross.
you are the
I'm
first
covered in
person.
bile.
Yeah, you're the first person to get a taste of this. Hopefully not actually. And it is exactly as corrupted and gross as it seems. Of this thing is shooting bodily fluids at you that also happen to have a gross black taint to them.
Tastes like bile. Gross.
Well, now we've got that out of the way, I'm going to move to Rayan.
All right. So. And it's out of its shell now?
It
Is that
is
right?
currently out of its shell.
Okay.
Mostly because I forgot to put it back in its shell.
All right. So
And
I'm
the
going to.
attack of everything and all. So.
All right. So I will go ahead and attack with my longsword.
Nice.
Oh, well,
You sure
holy
are.
crud.
Slice that tongue off.
And
known as its head.
Sorry, kind of playing with one hand here.
Yeah.
Gross.
And
Get a room.
oh my goodness, I'm holding a puppy.
What you call it?
Well, Improved critical. If I rolled a 19 or 20, gives me critical damage, but it's a 20, so it's always critical. So I will roll for damage now. 4 plus 7.
That's pretty good.
Now you have the burden, nay, the blessing, telling us what that attack looks like.
Alrighty.
Keep in mind, this thing is pretty darn hurting.
So as I swing into this, will we call it a carapace?
Shell.
Yeah. As I swing into the shell, like a little bit of holy light kind of just like trails with the sword.
Mhm.
A la like most fantasy games where like there's a cinematic kind of deal, and it just like rips into the shell.
Sure did.
Yeah. And I'm trying to look for this other thing. Hold on.
All right, so that sword is going straight through shell. All right.
Oh, with great weapon master, on my turn, when I score a critical with a melee weapon or reduce a creature to 0 HP, I get an additional weapon attack.
That seems pretty good.
Nice.
Okay, go for it.
Do it. Hit him for roughly 11 points of damage.
Well, he didn't
That was a
yet.
22. That was an 18. Oh, gosh. I was hoping
Yes.
for that second critical.
Still pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Keep rolling
All right.
damage.
3.
Well,
Oof.
Yeah, I know. Not
That's
as
kind of like
great.
19.
Yeah.
In ways that I can't actually put a joke together even.
And you know what? I'm gonna go for action surge, so I get another round of attack.
Goodness.
Hey, it's going well so far. Do
yeah.
it. Holy shit. He's going to kill this guy.
Okay, well, I did declare he was going back into a shell, and it did not matter.
9 damage.
Dang. Okay, well, I feel like we all just watched something magical happening. Like, someone with a pulse, we'll say, finally took some damage, and Ray's like, nah, we're not having this crap.
Regular anime protagonist.
Yeah, what the heck? Okay.
And he did it with one hand because the other one was stroking a puppy.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Some interesting choice of words.
I know what I said.
And we all heard
They
what
were
you said.
intentional.
Well, I'm gonna move us to Holden's turn and say that my expectations for getting to this thing's third turn have gone down a little bit.
As I finish my last attack, I go, Holden, finish this thing off.
Stop putting him in his shell, damn it. Is Glitch grappled by the creature presently?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Can I shoot him without obstruction where I am, or will I have to move here?
I will. You will have to move. Yes.
Okay. I will move there, and I will non-sharpshooter attack.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sure does look like some damage. Ooh. Okay. Well, one more narration as you're gonna get. Oh, I can't type -1 into there. It just subtracts. Wow, that's good to know.
You can do plus or minus for the health, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. We did it. Why don't you tell us what this looks like?
Seizing on the opportunity created by Rayun's slashing after he called upon the power of Allah, I believe I heard him say. After he cued his cinematic strike, left behind a massive hole in the thick black umber shell. Just watching that hole as a vulnerability for several seconds, taking my shot slow and precise. I take my eyes off the crossbow, locking eyes with Tyrus, and fire the crossbow blind right through the opening in its shell. There's a terrible snortling chortle, and the creature just falls dead. Hit something
Just-
vital, instantly dead.
You
Does
just
it fall
guys
dead onto
hear.
Rainu?
I'm gonna
Did
say
you crush
it,
our friend?
No, I'm gonna say it finishes that N64 deflation.
Nice.
But you guys do hear sort of a deflated
Excellent.
as it goes. As I delete that thing from the map, as you do with all dead things, Glitch is still kind of adhered to it. Like, this wasn't a grapple in that it took an arm and wrapped it around. It was just, like, glued to the shell.
Is it something that he can forcibly remove himself with over time, or are we going to need some kind of like reagent?
Should we discuss harvesting first, since that's a limited activity, and then figure out how to get Glitch
We could harvest
Wow.
Glitch.
detached? Well, the thing is already dead, and I want to make sure that I get the material I need for my shoes, my matching shoes.
The first thing I want to do, because it's the end of my turn, is move Hex off of the dead body onto Glitch.
Okay. All right, sure.
Concentration for an hour. If we get into another fight quickly, I can drop the Hex on something new.
That's fair. And just like casually cursing your best robotic friend.
Yeah,
No
he's
big
got like
deal.
a special Hex slot for it. It only really is detrimental if I hit him with something, and I feel like if I'm attacking him, something's gone horribly wrong anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to add one quick thing as we get ready for harvesting, which is that both Hex and Fairy Fire require concentration. And we
did
will
I
remember
use a
that for
double
next time.
concentration spell? Fuck.
It's going to happen. I'm not super worried about it. I should have caught it earlier myself. So now we know for next time. Either way, let's get to harvesting. And I'm going to ask, who would like to do the deed?
It seemed too strong.
I remember Rayun and someone else rolling for it. I don't remember what we have to roll for harvesting.
It was nature, I think, last time.
Nature,
Yeah,
yeah.
my nature was a 1.
Yeah, my nature's pretty bad.
4, but I'd rather work on freeing Glitch.
That makes sense?
I'll roll it.
All right. You and me.
Skeet, skeet, motherfucker.
Yeah, he got better.
Well, okay.
Calling the power of Skeet on that one.
So with a 20, what do we get?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys cannot afford a dire Umberwelk stock. That is not happening.
Yeah.
And there was other cool stuff that we're just not gonna bother with. But actually, same as before, you can claim another Umberwelk shell for 15, and meat costs 5. So you could do one of each or load up on that meat.
Do you want to just load up on meat?
We only got a shell fragment from the last one, not a full shell.
Oh.
Is this a
it
full
will
shell?
be another fragment, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is this a direwolf fragment, or is this just a fragment?
Both of them will have the word dire in front of them, yeah.
I mean, I feel like having a
I think the
fragment
shell's
of
the
a
way to
dire
go.
Umberwelk shell could be cool.
Sure. Let's do
Yeah.
shell
I
and
think
meat.
shell and then one meat.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead and add that to your inventories then.
Is the meat 5 pounds, because that's what we got last time, or what is the quantity of meat?
It will be roughly the same amount, yeah.
Okay.
It's 5 dire pounds.
Oh, man. The dire pounds, what I had to lose in the last shred phase, it's awful.
And I was able to get weird black molten flesh from the last one. Can I get the same from this one for my shoes?
I'm going to say yes. I will add that unlike stuff that you have harvested properly, like, you're not going to be able to make magical gear out of that.
Yeah,
but
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's more just
you can
so
absolutely do it for cool stuff.
I have more things for my vicious mockery setup.
Yeah. Okay. Well, by all means then, you get your extra bits, the remnants, as Tyrus and Rayun go at the thing with hatchets. And Holden, we'll get to you. Especially while those two are working on the other side of the beast. Well, I guess 3. Mira's even there trying to get her pieces. There's plenty of room for you to go over and take care of Glitch. I'm not going to make too big of a deal about it because at this point, even if you have to carry Glitch back to the boat and do more work there, it won't be so much a problem. Except that I can say with certainty that you knowing how Glitch works, you can tell that if he had stuck around, this would have been very bad. Like maybe if I'd gotten to my next turn.
I was assuming some kind of acidic digestive quality.
Yeah, I think that is a safe assumption.
Do the molten piles of sizzling blood puddles, are they inert at this point, or is there any cause for danger and concern there?
They persist for several minutes, but the harvesting takes about 5 minutes, and by the time the harvesting is over, they look roughly just like blood and have assimilated with the rest of the floor goo.
Cool. No baby direwolf spawns.
Nope. I will add that very slowly the lava does continue to creep into the cave, but maybe at a pace that could have been worse if you guys had waited longer. So otherwise, you guys are very content and safe right now.
Is there any reason why we should consider further investigating this cave? We haven't reached the end as a team.
There is a pool we got to go through. Be pretty cool. And refreshing.
I'm guessing we don't want to come back here, so should we do a full clear on the cave before heading back to the ship and getting out of here? Or are we satisfied with just taking off?
I think we should keep going.
While we're here, can I gauge based on how slowly the magma is filling the chamber if this process looks like it's going to continue, and if so, how long will this chamber become impassable? Essentially stranding us on the other side.
You've got a little while. It's progressing very slowly because of the goo. And I'm willing to say, hey, much like the ship tide, there probably would have been a higher lava tide if you had taken longer, but you don't have to worry about that.
Sweet. Anybody not want to go?
I'm game to explore.
We're pretty healthy, so I think we should probably just clear this cave so that we know we don't have to come back.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I get to remember how to use my Reveal Areas tool. And this is just going to end up being a nice bit of narration because this cave pretty much ends right at that pool.
Oh, awesome.
It seemed like it could have gone very deep in, but to be perfectly honest, that dire Umberwelk came from the back of this cave, and it looks like they had taken the best part for themselves.
Is there any buried treasure?
There sure isn't. Look, the treasure that you have is the friends you made along the way and the body parts that you viciously carved off of your fallen enemies.
How much are my friends worth, appraisal-wise?
Not very much.
That's kind of unimportant and sad.
Are there any different properties to the water beyond beyond just regular seawater, since it's a cave next to the ocean?
Nope. This is just a nice watery cave.
Excellent. Yay, we did it. We cleared the cave.
You did it.
Back to the ship.
Good job, guys.
Travel back to the ship is quick and uneventful because why on earth would I ambush you guys? when you killed the final boss of the subquest. Swan. And because of that, I'm going to pop us back to the map as we talk about what the next step is.
Oh, Jacob. Oh. Okay. According to my original notes, our plan after going... Oh, I can cross off Umberwelks. Our plan after going to Cross's Rest for Her Majesty's Turnips was to go to Noka Bay for Ranmar's combustion pot. That was the original plan.
That's worse somehow.
Ah!
I had my map perfectly zoomed so that I couldn't see those tokens. And when you said that, I was like, what is she talking about? Oh. Oh.
Thanks for bringing up the terrible memories.
Well, yeah, that happens. So I'm going to be honest, I missed that. What the plan was?
Noka Bay for the combustion pot.
Yep, I was
Perfect.
reminding the group that our original second step was to go to Noka Bay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask. Anybody have any objections to that plan?
Nope.
All right. Well, then we'll get right to it then. The ship's crew decides to take a slight diversion and head between Gazba and Lathos Strip because they don't want to deal with the Blade Gale Strait, especially while their captain is indisposed.
Hey, I'm their captain.
While their captain is a woman.
Rude.
Oof.
Hey, are we counting this as a long rest? Is this a long
This
trip?
is definitely going to be a long rest.
Excellent. I'm getting all my stuff back.
This travel is going to take a little while. Like, your travel from Cross's Rest to the cavern that you're in took like an hour and a half. Getting to Noka Bay will take most of a day. It would take a little less if you were taking the Blade Gale Strait, but Jacob knew how to navigate that, and it's very dangerous. You guys don't even need like to do a roll or anything. You guys know, everybody in Plenty probably knows about the Blade Gale Strait. Its name is not hyperbole. The wind will cut you. It will shank you. So the rest of the crew is just like, we're just not going to deal with that. So, with that in mind, the travel is fairly quiet. As you pass by Skullfruit, you see there are actually like 3 Culinarian Guild ships moored at different points on Skullfruit. It is very popular, considering you don't see a lot of other ships out right now, as most of them had left to deal with the Nosman refugee crisis. So to see 3 ships there is actually pretty wild. And 2 of them are parked next to each other. Moored next to each other? Or moored next to each other? The third one's just off doing its own thing on the other side of the island.
So the other things that we need to do on our checklist are to get Snapstring tendrils from Lick's chip, to get Hearthsberries from Mirror Bay, to go to the House of a Thousand Gods in Satir, and to find Culinarian Antonio Razmi. Do you guys think there's any chance, since there's so many boats here, that we should take a stop and look around? Or do you want to just cruise past?
Become pirates and steal their boat. It's just an option. I'm not voting for it, but I just want to throw it out there as an option.
Are any of them like displaying communication flags for anything we would care or be concerned about?
You can get the ship close enough. Like, none of them have cannons loaded and pointed at you as you are sailing by. You don't even need to see flags. Like, you can get close enough that there are people on at least the one ship by itself who's moored on the northwest tip. He's just flat out waving jollily at you.
Shall we get close enough to holler out or send a rowboat over to chat with him?
I'm skeptical, but I also hate people. I just don't trust them. Seems odd that so many people would be gathered in one concentrated place, given all that's going on.
I too think we should avoid them.
All right, Sav? Sorry, were you?
We can avoid them. I think, right?
Well, we're a democracy and majority rules, so heading
You're
to
the
Noka Bay.
captain.
We'll wave as we go by. And I'll do like the hand motion for call me, like picking up a phone to be like, I can't hear you. Okay, bye.
Oh no, I'm going through a tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. That way we're not being rude, but we'll just continue on.
That's fair. The figure that you see on that ship, honestly, just keeps waving pleasantly at you. Probably for a good several minutes as you pass by.
That's
But
suspicious as fuck.
Otherwise, if you guys don't interact, he waves for a few minutes and then goes back to his business, as you guys do as well.
I feel as though we dodged a bullet there. We don't need something to keep us from our tasks.
So who waits for 5 minutes?
Forrest Gump.
Somebody who doesn't have a cell phone.
Or a sending stone in this case.
Yeah.
All right, to
peasant.
Noka Bay.
To Noka Bay.
Yeah.
Nothing else particularly eventful happens. By the way, it's like nighttime when that happens. You are seeing some of that by lantern light. You arrive in Noka Bay late morning, we'll say. You've had plenty of time to sleep, plenty of time to get re-energized, plenty of time to get all of your spell slots back. As we arrive in the town of Noka Bay, and listen, I feel like you guys have a pretty good handle on what Porta Maria is like, right? It's a fairly temperate city, kind of busy, kind of packed in tight, and everybody here is really into cooking. Noka Bay doesn't feel like that at all. Noka Bay is way more tropical in nature. Like there are no clouds in the sky, the sun's out, the beaches are nice and sandy, and also you can see, even before you're fully moored, the people here are relaxing. Like, they are taking life nice and slow. Even the dockmaster, as you are making your way to the port, you could see him just like lazily get up from his chair that he was, leaning back on 2 legs in. And he gives you a wave, but that wave takes probably a second or 2 longer than it should have. Kind of like this description.
I like it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Nope.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm going to move you to Noka Bay.
Do we have any additional information about where we might find Ranmar's combustion pot?
So, you have a name, which I definitely knew and lost in my notes forever ago. So I told you when I first gave you this quest that I would tell you more when we got here.
Because I was going to say, I don't think I have it in my notes, but I'm looking just in case.
It was absolutely, Zell's going to delay for a little bit because he forgot the name and lost where he wrote it down. But we got there while I was prepping for this a little while ago. Ranmar mentioned that it was in the hands of an old colleague of his, Jenny Ehrlich. He didn't give a lot of other information about that. Mostly just you should find Jenny Ehrlich and get his combustion pot back. Like mostly he was yelling, "I want my combustion pot back." So getting any information out of him, like, you're kind of lucky there.
All right. I guess as the captain, I'm gonna go over to the dockmaster and greet him with a slow, "Hello, good morrow. We're looking for one Jenny Ehrlich. Can you help us?"
He leans back in his chair, back on two legs. It looks like he's been practicing this two-legged thing for a while. Looks up at the flag that the ship is flying. Oh, you must be from Porto Maria, yeah?
That's right.
Big old portly tan man who seems like he's only wearing a shirt as a formality. He says, well, you'll probably want to check in with the Culinarians Guild Embassy. They might be able to help you out a little, and why don't you head over to Jenny's Salvage? It's, he points off to the west side of town. It's over there. Oh, and, if you could, write your name and ship name in this ledger, I'd appreciate it.
You got it.
He has already put both of his hands behind his head and closed his eyes. He genuinely looks like he could fall asleep while balancing on those back two legs.
I'm going to use the original code name that I got, Fringe, instead of Mira, in case someone is following us, and the ship's name.
That makes sense, yeah. He takes the book back from you. His eyes still appear closed. He says, Fringe. Yeah. Works for me. Welcome to Noka Bay. Enjoy your stay. Yeah.
Read the notice board on our way to the salvage yard.
Hey, you noticed the notice board! It's like it's the only token I put on there.
I was waiting for the description to be over.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm really happy with that. I'm not a game developer, so, making sure that people see the important stuff.
No, very readable.
Are we sure it's a notice board?
It is
Not a
definitely a
wanted
notice board. It definitely looks quite a bit like the notice board in Porta Maria.
Okay. Just making sure.
In fact,
board.
it is definitely the quest board. And you notice that a couple of the notices that you've taken are there. Right? Like, there's still the assistance for Umber Whelks and that is such a hard thing to say. Snapstring tendrils are both present. One of them that was in your quest log is no longer there, though.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Well, Ramsey died.
Uh,
Does that mean we could potentially, like, air quotes, turn in our Umberwelk meat here? If this is a group that also is seeking it?
yeah, it seems like it's worth talking to the Culinarians Guild and finding out.
That seems like a good
Oh
idea.
my gosh. Zeph, I'm so mad at you.
Pretty good.
It's amazing. I had to share it.
I feel like there should be a better way to move this, but I think this was the way I learned how to do it. There are a couple new notices that are on this board, and I think they should appear in the journal.
Yeah, I see them.
To the journal.
Yes. And these are the ones that stand out a little bit. Like there are also some more benign ones of like, hey, does anybody have some sugar that I can borrow? Or hey, has anybody seen my dog? Things like that. But like these are the ones that stand out to you as seasoned adventurers.
That's a lot
I'd
of
like to
money
take
for a
one
Zilkar skull.
for the dog. And I'd like to roll 1 million perception checks while we're around town.
I am happy to let you make 1 million perception checks. You'd better start soon though, because it's already 7:30.
I don't see a dog one. What's the dog one?
No, I'm saying that is
an example of innocuous quests.
Oh,
that don't
I
actually
see, I
appear on the
see.
board for us,
yeah. Good news,
So
Tyrus. You saw
had
a
to
lot
check
of dogs.
The perception board.
You had a long way to go though.
Nice. Is there any description?
Honestly, this looks like it was written by a small child, and no, there's no description. It's literally just, have you seen my dog?
Okay. Are any of the dogs friendly?
There are definitely some friendly dogs.
Can I pick one up?
I think
Sure.
Tyrus wants a dog.
I'm going to try to deliver the dog I picked up to
the Culinary Guild.
to the Culinary Guild.
Not my dog. Sure it is.
Oh, we could find
It's
a
a
use
dog.
for it. Okay. You now have absconded with a small dog.
His name is Bert.
Wonderful.
Bert the dog.
So, yeah, the outside of the dog, which, give its due credit, there are a couple other notices that seem relevant as things that the Culinarians Guild might be willing to help with, or things that you guys could consider doing. But that is about all that is new at the notice board.
I'm sorry, what did you name the dog?
Bert.
Bert. Okay.
B-E-R-T.
B-E-R-T. Okay.
Oh, like an Ernie instead of Reynolds? Ugh.
Yeah. He's a friendly guy, not really a Trans Am kind of guy.
Is Burt Reynolds B-U-R-T?
It is.
Sure was.
Huh.
R.I.P.
Well,
Alright.
good to know.
Do we head to Ehrlich's Salvage then?
Jenny's salvage. We don't know that that's the Jenny. The assumption could be that it is, but we don't know that for sure.
Oh, I thought it was said explicitly. I apologize.
He suggested that we go to the Culinarian Embassy and that we stop by Jenny's salvage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're headed to Jenny's salvage first. And I'm guessing from there we'll be able to find out where the Culinarian Embassy is.
Actually, I'm going to give you this much, that he probably gave you some half-hearted hand gesture when he said the Culinarians Guild Embassy. So I will also add that.
Nice. Okay.
Whoa.
Wait, which one is Jenny's salvage and which one is the embassy?
Man, do they not have the...
One of them has blue on it and the other one does not.
They should have their nameplates. Well, that's a bum.
Can I roll perception to see if there's nameplates?
You know what?
Can I roll the perception board to see if
Yes,
there's
don't
nameplates?
just start making checks without it when Zell wants to notice.
Any chance
It's
you can
gonna
see
be-
the nameplates now?
Negative,
I
sir.
cannot.
I rolled a 13. Can I see
Well, I wish.
them?
Well, I will work on that in the background, but in the meantime, the Jenny Salvage is the
Perfect.
westernmost building.
Okay. Well, let's head to Jenny Salvage and then we'll make our way to the Culinarian Embassy.
Beep beta bing, beep beta boom.
Okay.
Because if it's not the Jenny that we're looking for, then we will see if the Culinarian Embassy can help us.
Trying one more thing. What about now?
Yes! I can
Yay!
see the
Guild
Culinarian
Embassy.
Guild Embassy. Yep.
We
Yeah.
did it.
Woohoo!
They hit the button that lets me show that to everybody.
Hooray!
Oh, Bert is wonderful. All right. We're off to Jenny South. Man, I'm going to have to change that on so many tokens that I have hidden. Oh, okay.
I
Well,
feel like Dora the Explorer there.
let's head to Jenny Salvage then.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
When the Dockmaster pointed you generally in that direction, he sort of just gestured along the waterway, and he was mostly right. You know, most of the commercial in that side is right on the water, so it's pretty easy to eventually find your way to what would be a salvage company. I was going to say a salvage yard, but it's on the water, and that doesn't make any sense. Jenny's Salvage has a fairly large but very plain looking sign. Like a lot of these places, this is a very tropical, very colorful place. Have bright signs with artistic renditions of what you might find in there, like beautiful drinks and food or textiles flowing like a waterfall. Jenny Salvage is just like sans serif font that says Jenny's Salvage.
Respect.
And the only thing stopping you from entering is a very battered wooden door.
Like it's closed or
I mean, it's closed because a building's door is closed, but the battered part is mostly referring to giant gashes and chunks taken out of it.
Oh.
It's probably a good thing it doesn't get too cold here, or it would be cold in there.
Does it look like somebody tried to break into it?
You know, nah, no perception checks. It's just part of the description. No, it looks like a lot of these attacks came from inside.
Oh.
It
Does
came from inside the
Bert
house.
look like he's familiar with this place?
Not even a little bit.
Okay.
But blissfully is just kind of cool with what's going on.
He's a
Bert's cool
chill
like
dog.
that. Yep.
Bert's a pretty chill dog.
I'm gonna knock.
Don't, you'll break it.
This door barely survives your knock. But you do hear on the other side a woman who just shouts, "What do you want?"
To trade.
Company.
I heard yours, and I'm actually curious to what you said as well. Try.
Holden's just being shitty.
Yes, but I do want to hear what that was.
Oh, just I imagine him sort of like rolling his eyes, looking to Mira for like, comic relief. Just being, do you mean beyond the pleasure of your company?
So I'm gonna quickly roll a d20. There's no way that command works. Hey! Wow, that actually worked. Did any of you see that roll?
Nope.
What roll?
Oh my gosh, I just invented a new thing in Roll20.
Congratulations.
Apparently,
You're the first
if I
one
type,
to use it.
right? Apparently, if I type /GM roll, I roll a die and you guys don't see it. That changes
What?
everything.
That's insane.
So the voice on the other end barely lets the two of you finish your business or snide remarks. When I'm going to have, since he knocked, Tyrus make a dexterity save, if you would. Yeah, that's good enough. And I'm going to also roll another d20 publicly for the dog.
You
Wonderful.
bastard.
Hey man, you brought him into this. Both of you guys get out of the way just fine as the door just explodes. Ripped right off his hinges, battered planks, splinters flying in every which direction. And you see on the other side of that door, you guys can like peek your head in, or Tires, you have a pretty good view since you're standing pretty much right there. And your deck save is pretty much just like turning away and as the explosion happens. There is a rather tall woman in a pretty well decorated purple vest and long curly red hair, who is holding a smoking blunderbuss pointed right at the door. As the ringing from the shot fades, you guys hear Jenny shout out, "If you think that I'm gonna let you come in here for anything to do with pleasure, you might as well put your bits right on this counter and I'll blast them off for you."
So is that a discount or?
You say that and she begins to reload.
Ah, 5-finger. Got it. I'll just stand back here.
Tyrus is gonna go. I'll show you. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And then he's gonna pull out his rifle. Barrel not pointed at her.
Dual wielding, gun and dog.
Yeah.
She finishes reloading and not in the mood for your sailor crap.
I'm going to step forward with both of my hands in the air and just say, "We're not sailors, Jenny. We've been sent here by Ranmar."
You say that, and she sees a lady face and maybe calms down for a second until you finish saying that, in which case she reaches under the counter and pulls out a second gun and
Yes.
Oh, lass.
Oh no.
You don't know the mistake you just made. I'd turn around real quick and march yourself right back into that bay before...
His name. Like if we say this person, like, are we okay to speak about it or no?
She looks at the lot of you and says, "One of you better step forward as the smart one right now."
With shield in tow, I just step forward.
I lost comms, so I don't really
Can
know
I-
what's happening.
Can I like
Hold on,
trip
Meg
Holden
lost
forward?
So Rayun had just asked, like, if we don't say his name and we just use like this person like as a filler for that sentence, like, are we okay? And then Jenny uttered, "One of you better step forward."
Okay.
Specifically, she said, "Step forward as the smart one."
Mm-hmm. And then Rayun stepped forward. That's where I came in at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she still has a pair of big old blunderbuy? I'm going to go with blunderbuy.
Blunderboobs.
No. Raised as if she does not give a crap about recoil right now. And she says, "All right. What's your name, kid?"
Rayun Nayfarin, at your service.
"And what brings you to my shop, Rayun?"
A quest.
You're on a quest from Ranmar Castanire. And here I thought you stepped forward as the smart one.
Well, several quests, but he's one of many. And what do you mean by that? If I may ask.
Would you mind clarifying that? I don't know what you mean.
When she said, and you took a quest from him, like what does that mean per se? I know you hate him, but what did he do to you?
She takes a second and assesses the crowd here. After a couple seconds, her face goes from fury to sort of resignation. She's... Oh, they just sent a bunch of school children my way, didn't they? She sets down one of the guns so that she can rub her temple. Okay. Get in here. I don't want my business to get out into the docks. The last thing I want is all of those shipwrights hearing whatever they feel like hearing. So, get in, all of you. As you shuffle into the shop, she walks from behind the counter long enough to carry over a new door and just roughly sets it in place. It looks like she's done this before. She says, so, let me get this straight. The four of you, and a dog and an armored cat, collectively know absolutely nothing about anything at all.
I turn over to the others. Do you know anything? Because I don't.
You would drown in the sea that is the knowledge I possess.
Ah.
Oh, the book smart kind. Oh, I love talking with you.
And answering doors with your rifle.
Oh, I love doing that. The number of sailors that I've had to scare away with this.
Sorry, be back in a smidge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I see what I'm dealing with. Fine. Let's talk. You're here on business from Ranmar Castanire.
Sorry, the cavalry, right?
Yep. And what does that salacious, wrinkled horn dog want?
I mean, for the record, we agree on all counts there. But we were led to believe you may be in possession of a cooking utensil that we require. A combustion pot.
She looked resigned and maybe a bit on edge. But you say that she throws her head back in just a screech of a laugh that I'm not going to do because it would scare my cats and top out my mic.
So is this is this the laugh from one of the Final Fantasy games? I think it was like with the character Titus.
No.
That
because that one's funny. This is the sort of laugh that you would hear from a girl at the mall when you said that she looked pretty before you realized how girls worked. After a couple seconds, she comes down and says, "You're telling me that old prune finally came for his combustion pot? He left that in my shop decades ago, and now he wants it back? Oh,
In fairness, I believe he needs it more than wants it. I'm sure he wouldn't have bothered you unless it was absolutely required.
this is... Oh, I've been waiting. It must be at least 20 years for this moment. Oh, if only he was here to say it in person. Oh, I wish he was here right now. Oh, so that I could tell him. I threw his combustion pot to the bottom of the bay. And I don't regret it at all.
Spectacular.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
So,
much.
do you sell like scuba gear or something?
Before we go any further, I'd like to ask a meta question. Is the combustion pot a one-off like magical item, or is this an existing like culinary technology that we could potentially make or find somewhere else in the world?
You have never heard of this before.
Okay, so this is like a Ranmar specific, Jenny specific thing.
For what it's worth, I am partially amphibious, so I can be underwater for up to an hour.
I probably can sink faster.
Nice.
May very well come to that. I just want to make sure that before we got into negotiating with this lady that it wasn't like a department store item that we could just buy another.
You know what? I will add, for the sake of making this not a meta conversation, that Ranmar, somewhere in his rant, probably mentioned the phrase "one of a kind."
Perfect. Then I would like to ask Jenny if she remembers whereabouts at the bottom of the ocean she might have thrown this combustion pot.
Sure, I'll show you. I don't care. She is still outside, or still in front of her counter, so she just picks up the door, throws it back against the wall, marches you down only like 5 or 6 steps to the dock, and says, "I stood right here. I said a few words that I'm not going to repeat for the dog's sake, and I hurled it as hard as I could." She points, probably about 40 or 50 feet. That's about where it landed.
How heavy is a combustion pot?
Oh, it's what? 50, 60 pounds?
Jenny's got an arm. She should be a shot putter.
Don't fuck with Jenny.
Yeah.
That's an impressive throw, and I don't know how strong the tidal currents are here, but 60 pounds should anchor itself at the bottom. Unless someone else has already recovered it, there's a good chance the pot's still there. What do you think, Mira?
Yeah, I'll go down and check it out. Does Jenny know how deep the bay is in this part?
Oh yeah, it's easily a couple 100 feet deep.
We're close enough to a dock, so it shouldn't be too hard for me to stay. How clear is the water? Is it
crystal?
Crystal, okay. So I'd be able to see the dock and I'm sure the pillars that it's on. Well, I mean, we don't know until we try, yeah? Can Glitch swim? Because I feel like I probably shouldn't go by myself, but Glitch wouldn't need to breathe because of Glitch things.
He does not have a swim speed.
But he would sink straight to the bottom if I held on to him.
It's like with Rayun, the sinking part is easy.
So,
ironically, not being alive and having immunity to exhaustion and having dark vision does go really well, but he will only be able to basically tread water at 20 feet, so he won't be able to keep up with you.
But if I use him to sink straight to the bottom and you tie a rope or something to him to pulley him back up when we're done, he doesn't need to swim.
Yeah, we can make Scuba Steve.
All right, Glitch. Rock,
I'm
paper,
most
scissors.
concerned. I can only absorb air through my skin for up to an hour, and I don't know how long it's going to take down on the bottom. So I feel like
I could be wrong,
the more time I
but
give
didn't we
myself...
use the same strategy with like a dead child
What?
in a previous campaign?
Yeah, pretty close.
Similar.
Oh
I mean,
no!
undead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Undead
I was
child.
mostly just thinking heavy thing, like, you know, it could be hard to submerge yourself in a pool. So if
No, it totally makes sense. Why don't you use the dog too?
No, I don't want to use the dog.
You are not
Dog-
taking Bert with you. I'm sorry.
Bert has to breathe. Glitch does not.
I mean,
does Jenny have does she seem like she's going to let us dive in the bay, or is her like vengeance boner for ruining Ranmar's day so strong that she might interfere with our salvage attempt?
For starters, she's no longer armed. Second off, she is sitting on her front steps, basking in what I can only describe is an afterglow of this moment.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, if it's crystal clear and you guys can see me, I'll go down by myself.
Take Glitch. I don't mind. We've got plenty of rope.
if you guys are doing that, I'd like to, or Rayun would like to ask Jenny a question, if that's okay.
Let's do that first, and then we'll get to the underwater stuff.
Okie dokie. Hey, Jenny.
What do you need, kid?
I just had a real quick question for you. Do you happen to know a Raylar Nayfarin by any chance?
Doesn't ring a bell, but I don't get to leave my shop too much. Despite what it looks, and despite the number of clients I have to scare off, I don't get a lot of time to leave the shop.
Oh, okay. My dad travels around a lot, and actually around these parts. But I was wondering if he ever came by your shop or anything.
I can't say it sounds familiar. Sorry, kid. If you're looking for him too, you have to look somewhere else.
Probably. Yeah, I guess that's all the questions I had. So, never mind. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Feel free to ask, or feel free to let me know if either of those are questions you're actually asking, or we can get to the submarine bits.
I figured since Rayun was sitting right next to her and talking pleasantly with her, he could ask about that as well.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, my friends are kind of bugging me about this question here. What about your culinarian Antonio Razmi?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not actually affiliated with the Culinarians Guild. I just run a salvage shop.
Interesting.
Like, hey, if you want to know things about salvage, or if you want to ask nicely about things about Ranmar Castanine, I'm happy to talk, but I can only tell you what I know, and I didn't get to run a salvage shop by being book smart. She kind of glances over at Holden.
I wanted to ask her if she has any more salvaged firearms.
Says, hey, if you're buying, I'm selling.
I'd be interested. But we can do that after the bay thing.
Yeah, sure. Let's go to the underwater scene, which I'm not actually changing the scene for because I'm lazy.
Under the sea.
So what you can do is just zoom in all the way into the middle of the bay, and just have that up.
So why don't you give me a perception check? And I missed whether there was a decision on if Glitch was going with you.
I was thinking it would be faster since he's metal and would sink straight to the bottom for me to essentially like ride him like a rocket down to the bottom of the ocean floor, of the bay floor, and then spread out. Like we could move slowly and spread out and look for the combustion pot in that area. And then they can pull him up on the rope when we're done. Yes.
So would we need to strength check or?
If you guys are pulling up Glitch on a rope, it'll probably be some sort of strength check, but not a very difficult one.
Because
Like,
he is
probably sort of-
underwater and he'll be lighter, right? Because of movement.
He can provide some thrust by swimming. He just doesn't have a swim speed, so it's half speed.
I am mostly just concerned about things that might try to attack me while I'm underwater, and I'm a little uncomfortable about going by myself, but...
Yeah, Glitch will go with you.
Okay. Well, then the two of you then, pretty straightforward, can almost can make your way underwater. Like I said, this water is absolutely crystal clear. Like you could see a nearby boat sailing by, no problem. There's absolutely nothing around you, right? It's just water and pier, and to the point where I didn't make another scene because there was nothing that was going to mysteriously attack you.
Nice. Okay.
Uh,
I would think not in a busy bay, but you never know.
Yeah. It would be weird if all of a sudden there were like massive sea monsters and none of the Noka Bay residents deigned to tell you about it.
Well, I mean,
Especially
they live
like
above the water. It could be a thing.
There could be the Stormwind Sewer Beast. Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah, but like, look, Jenny may not like your boss, but if she sees you taking off all of your extra equipment, like the stuff that might rust or any musical instruments, she might put two and two together and be like, "Oh, hey, hold on. There's a, there's a sea monster the size of a planet right under the water."
I don't know how unhappy she is with him.
She's pretty unhappy, but
Okay.
No, you're fine though. You can see almost as far as you can just regularly see. This water is beautiful. And so much so that pretty much right as you get in the water, you can see the seafloor ahead of you. It's a ways down, but you can see it almost immediately.
All right, let's go get us a combustion pot and maybe some other things that we can bring Jenny back to cheer her up and make her not be such a witch.
Ooh. There is a decent amount of detritus down here on the floor, like, rotten out planks and stuff. A lot of very rusty metals. Thankfully, magic is a good way to shoo off any tetanus problems. I am going to have you make a perception check.
Does a 15 work, or do I need another perception check?
You did make a perception check, right. And I just got distracted thinking about sea monsters.
Sorry, that's okay.
It's enough, actually, in both cases, that maybe being a little gentle around the things that might poke you, a few of these rusty things stand out, and you do find pretty quickly, because it's large and bulbous and stands out from the rock and the rotten wood, what looks like a giant metal cooking pot.
All right, I'm going to get it and fasten it to Glitch with the rope that he's already got tied around him. And is there anything else of interest in that vicinity before we head up?
Even with perception checks like that, at best, you're going to find a couple bits of rusty scrap.
Okay. That's not worth it.
Probably not. I mean, for what it's worth, she runs a salvage yard or a salvage operation like 50 feet away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably combed these depths a few times. And so land crew, after a good 5-10 minutes, you feel some tugging on the rope.
Heave.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you guys make some strength checks. Mostly because if you guys all do really poorly, it's gonna be funny.
All right.
My strength is a 10.
Mine's a 15.
Just invoke the spirit of Leo Stronghammer. It's fine.
That's what I usually do.
I will invoke Doria.
My strength is a 15, by the way.
So just roll strength.
Yeah, the lot of you should probably roll some strength rolls.
No advantage. 4.
Oh.
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 All right, it's all you, Tyrus.
Nope.
Well, of course, holding Bert. You gotta put Bert down before you roll.
You
We
say
were
that
all
he did
holding
better than
Bert.
everybody else.
I know, but still.
The
So I
scene
guess
up
we move
top
very
is
slowly.
Bert is nice enough that he's got part of the rope in his mouth.
Nice.
totally
But, like, I'm still holding him, so he's doing nothing.
great.
He's just holding the rope.
Holden, you didn't tell me this was so heavy.
The scene is so dismal that Jenny just explodes laughing. And it's so bad that a bunch of the other civilians or dock crew or people around also take notice, and you guys are getting a lot of really entertained eyes. This goes on for a while, and before Jenny finally stands up, it says, all right, I can only laugh at one-armed kids so long. You want a hand?
Yes.
Yes.
She coils that rope around one arm and gives a mighty yank. Enough that the three of you guys have to struggle to keep your footing. And, well, heave!
Another strength roll?
I don't brag, but I've been heaving.
It's not going to be dry for much longer. I'm not going to make the second roll necessary. Jenny is frighteningly strong. And you can see that she might be out heave-hoing the whole group of you. Worth pointing out, the second that Jenny started pulling, the entire crowd watching you dispersed.
She's from the block.
Yeah. She's had to replace some doors. People may know you don't mess with Jenny Ehrlich. From the underwater side, you feel that sudden tug, and you're going up now. So it takes a couple more minutes, but Jenny and crew get the pot, the cat, and Mira all above water. And she says, as you guys start retrieving everyone, see, that wasn't so hard. Gotta put some muscle into it, boys.
Thank you very much for your help, Jenny.
Thank you.
Don't
Thanks for
thank
not
me
leaving
yet.
me in the bottom of the bay.
That one's no problem at all. Look, sis, you're fine. But you're gonna have to fix that piece of crap.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Especially, you know what? Holden, go ahead and give me a perception check. I want to see how quickly you can appraise this thing.
Mm.
It's quick enough to see the giant hole in it.
Oh no.
Rusted around the edges. This thing, let's start off with this. At the topmost level, this combustion pot clearly used to be brilliant. I'm holding a space up in front of me so that I can give myself an idea of how big this is. We're talking a pot that's roughly 3 feet long, a foot half tall, and 2 feet deep. It is inlaid with what used to be beautiful, intricate carvings, and the top where the lid is has some winged filigree that, in its prime, definitely gave off an air of opulence.
How large is the hole in it?
About the size of a grapefruit.
Excellent.
It's made of some form of steel or iron or we'll go with steel because you would know what this is. And it is, where it's not rusted out, no less than a centimeter thick. As you're doing that quick inspection, Jenny adds, probably lost all the enchantment in it too. Sure is a shame. All that fire magic thrown into the bay. Probably should have handled that a little more carefully, huh?
It does seem
Oops.
intentionally careless.
So, quick question for you, Jenny. Did he sell this to you? Or did he give it to you for safekeeping? I'm just curious.
Oh, that slug didn't give this to me or sell this to me. He left it in my kitchen. After he made me the most beautiful meal, he sang me the sweetest songs. He made me the most beautiful poetry. We spent a night together and didn't get to spend the morning together.
What a loser.
Wow.
So Jenny's a slut.
I would love to know if you said that out loud. But I'm
No, just
assuming
making
you didn't.
observations. Why would he leave his pot here? Seems like it was such an important thing to him. Maybe
Because
he
of
cared for you
customs.
deeply to leave such a meaningful object in your care.
You know, I never thought to ask him. That being said, the Direwile head that I sent him a couple weeks later probably gave him an idea that I didn't want to talk to him too much.
Which is why he sent us.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of emotionally overreacting too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've got your combustion pot back. You can take it back to the salty old bastard and let him know that we're even.
Do you by any chance know who created the combustion pot in the first place? Is it something that Ranmar constructed, or is there someplace we should take it to have it repaired?
Oh, I'm sure I could repair it. If I wanted to. I know the enchantment. I know the material. It probably wouldn't look as pretty, but it'd still explode just as well.
I think we'd appreciate that. I'm very much a function over form person myself.
All right.
I'm sure we could give you something, recompense for your time and effort.
I got 10 gold on me.
She raises her hands. I'm not taking your money, kid.
Okay.
She turns to Mira and says, "Listen, sweetie, if you're doing this as any kind of favor to Ranmar, you might as well just walk away. Leave that thing in the bay."
I wouldn't say it's a favor for Ranmar. We're only working with him because we have to have a culinarian sign off on us. We have our own goals and ambitions.
Like what? What's so
Not being eaten
important?
by Telemar.
I don't know what that is. What's Telemar?
Have you been to Nazma recently?
Maybe missed the part. I haven't left my shop in 4 weeks.
It's gone.
What do you mean it's gone? Cities don't just disappear.
I'm gonna tell her everything that has happened so far that we were told at the culinary meeting, and explain to her how we're making the
world
gods
is
feast.
officially doomed. Harold Mora demanded a feast fit for a champion deity who just finished killing the Dominion, and we're in charge of gathering the requisite materials to help make a portion of that feast under the direction of Ranmar. He thought that the combustion pot would be an important step in the creation of a master feast. That's why we're here. Not because we like him or because we feel especially indebted to him, but because we'd like to see the world continue to spin.
For what it's worth, she does not take the news of Nazma's destruction very well. You say that pretty early on, it sounded like, and she just slumps down on the counter. By the time you guys are done, she looks about as somber as you would expect someone to say, hey, an entire fifth of the country has been blown up. When you finish, I had no idea. News doesn't get out here too often. I just know I hadn't seen any sailors in a little while. Probably for the best.
We're
Did
sorry to
you-
have to be the ones to share it with you.
Did you have any family in that area by any chance?
Yeah, my mom and sister lived out there. I don't know if they were still on the main city or not, but
There are refugees making their way to Porto Maria. Many survivors escaped. Maybe they're among the rescued.
boy, I sure hope so.
What is your family name, if I may ask?
Ehrlich.
Oh, Erlich.
Ehrlich, yeah.
If
Hey,
you-
I could use a minute. Would you mind? And could you put the door back on your way?
Yeah.
I'll offer to reinstall the door.
It seriously jimmies into place like a dream. But
Reinforced door hinges. Blast proof.
like I said, she's done this before.
Probably at this point they're like enchanted hinges.
But yeah, as you exit, she just has a hand, her face in a hand, while she sits on that countertop.
Oh man.
And now you find yourself outside Jenny's salvage. The dock is slightly damp from a recent salvaging expedition.
Oh, geez. I wonder who was salvaging.
It was me.
Are there any shops nearby that you guys want to check out while we're waiting? I'm happy to sit here with Glitch.
I think the only inventory that Foob and I were interested in is Jenny's salvage, but there's no harm in looking around.
Is there any type of tailor nearby that could craft my belt and boots?
For what it's worth, there are craftsmen and a full commercial district roughly around where you're at. I mostly highlight Jenny Salvage because it was a quest place, but they're absolutely craftsmen of most types that you would need, especially if they have anything to do with shipwrights. There's plenty of woodworkers, plenty of tailors to make sails, rope makers, like anything that you would need. Plenty of metal workers.
Excellent. I'm
Can-
gonna go
I forget.
get me a
Did
belt
we
and boots crafted.
did we get an allotment of gold from the Culinarium Guild?
You
Budget of
were
some sort?
given a small stipend, if I remember right, but you were also told that you had a limited ability for requisitions.
Requisitions.
Okay.
Right, like you were able to just get the basic necessities that you needed.
Okay.
And I think, I know that the way that it was put to you by your administrator was that if you needed something more than basic resources, you could ask him and he would do his best to get it to you as soon as he could.
Okay.
Can I find somebody that may be able to fashion the dire Umberwelk shell into a shield, maybe?
I'm going to get to Mira's first, and then I will take care of yours, and I think we will get to roughly the same answer. Mira, you pretty quickly find one of the tailor shops, right? Like I said, most of the signage here is very flashy and flamboyant, so it's pretty easy to see a sign that is literally made out of a mast and sail.
Nice.
I'm going to quickly highlight that you are in the Seabreeze Marketplace. Oh, wait, I forgot. The nameplates aren't showing yet. Fix that too. Bam, we did it.
Bum, dun, dun, bum, dun, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, this is the big commercial district. You're able to find the Saltbreeze Marketplace. You're able to find pretty much anything you need here, including the Saltbreeze Sales.
Excellent.
Which is the shop that you head into. And right away, there is a very lovely gnomish man. Well, hello, miss. What can I do for you on this fine day?
I'm looking for someone to craft a belt and boots from this material that I've acquired. Nothing special, no magical properties, just needs to be a perfect fit.
He takes a look at your Umberwelk bits. Well, that seems entirely doable. Are you hunters?
I wouldn't say I shy away from a hunt, but I fancy myself more of an adventurer.
Oh, so you're not with the guild then?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Well, normally I would send this stuff to a guild craftsman, but I guess I could do some work with it, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Great, what would the cost be? And since I'm only in port for a short time, how quickly could the products be completed?
Well, I'm probably... I could probably get it back to you by the morning.
All right, and how much?
time, materials, probably 5 or 6 gold, assuming you want something that looks nice.
Yes, please. Consider it done. That sounds great. I'll be by in the morning.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you for your business. And he ducks under his counter and gets right to work. Sav, to your work on that question, traditionally, when using monster parts to make gear, probably something that you would want to have the Culinarians Guild handle.
Oh, okay.
For non-magical gear like that, it's fine to have a normal craftsman, but Culinarians Guild, probably Hunter's Division handles this.
Oh, okay. So do I head over to the embassy and see if I can get a hold of somebody?
We do need to head there next. Do we want to split the group and have half of them go to the embassy? I'm guessing we'll probably wrap up here this evening, and then next session we'll pick up the next morning or whatever. But we should probably get Jenny's answer. So, do you want to split the group and have one group stay? Or should we check in with Jenny and then tell her that we're going to go to the embassy and she can find us there when she's done thinking? What do you guys think?
I think we should probably go to the embassy and see if we can turn in this Emberwelk materials for that quest.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe see if we can drop off Bert. If not, we'll just have to hold on to him. And then I think we should also tell Jenny that to meet us over there if possible.
Okay, and that way,
and we
Rayun
should probably
can work on
not
his
split the group.
shield.
Would be my suggestion.
And yeah, that sounds great. We should be able to do everything at the guild embassy, but let's let Jenny know that she can find us there.
All right. Any dissenting opinions?
No, I think let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
To the embassy.
Oh,
I totally could have done that. Oh, whatever. The embassy, despite the fact the Culinarians Guild is not nearly as present here as they are in Porto Maria, is still one of the fanciest buildings in town. They have gone out of their way to invest quite a bit into making this not just like opulent, but functional. This is a place that people can go to, and there is a decent amount of traffic going to and from the building. It's almost certain that most of these are not just Culinarians Guild, especially because, again, they're on the other side of the continent. But it looks like just civilians are going in and out, right? They are making use of these facilities. There are guards posted, but even they are kind of lax about, hey, people are going in, it's fine. When you enter this building, the previous Culinarians Guild Hall, Allers Hall, was gigantic and imposing, made of dark wood and red carpets and red banners and fire. This one feels a lot more like the front desk at like a travel agency. Not that those exist anymore. A lot of people coming and going, but a lot of light coming in, and people are just generally in a pretty good mood. Like reception desk up front, plenty of rooms in the back. But like even people that are waiting in line are just like, yeah, okay. This is a nice place to be. You can definitely see that there are receptionists at the front of the desk, and there are a couple more guards, particularly guarding a pair of doors that lead opposite the entryway, presumably further deeper into the Culinarians Guild embassy. Poor nephew. is currently being defeated by some magic boosters.
That's a booster box. You're right. That's a bundle box. That might be the lands.
I don't know. So I'm going to fast forward us a little further because this place is pleasant, but we shouldn't wait here forever. There is even some gentle music playing. Maybe there is a musician somewhere around. Mira, you can probably pick up a tune or two that you know. But even just waiting in line is a pretty gentle and chill experience. Probably takes a good 15-20 minutes before finally you get to a man behind the desk. A fairly tall-looking human. And he's smiling at you. Well, welcome to the Culinarians Guild. What can I do for you?
We have...
Sorry, I was muted.
Some umberwelk meat. We understand the Culinarian Guild here is in need of some.
Well, I mean, yeah, probably. Sure.
Premium cuts.
From Umberwelk and Dire Umberwelk.
Buy it now while it's still fresh.
He looks down and pulls out one of probably many ledgers underneath his desk. A book that's easily 2 or 3 feet tall, or 2 or 3 inches tall, and over a foot long. Cracks it open and says, "Oh yeah, you must be here about one of the notices, huh?"
Indeed, we are.
All right. Hey, yeah, we got one right here.
Originally put out by Culinarian Mossbrook, if memory serves.
Yeah, looks like yeah, that's the one. Dang. Well, I guess I should take that from you. What do you got?
Unload the 5 pounds of umberwelk meat, as well as the 5 pounds of dire umberwelk meat, as long as he's willing to pay us for both. If the quest is satisfied with just the 5 pounds of umberwelk meat and he doesn't want to give us extra, maybe we just keep the dire meat. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Well, you slam your 10 pounds of meat onto the table, and yeah, totally.
Just display it onto the table.
And he's stunned. After a second, whoa, nice meat. Let's see. He reaches under the table and pulls out a scale and some weights. Yeah, this is way more 5 pounds. Well, I'm pretty sure I could find. Here, tell you what, we'll just make sure Culinarian Mossbrook knows that she owes us extra. Let's see. He starts writing in the ledger for a couple seconds. Says, looks like looks like a notice of this caliber. We can put you down for easy 200 gold. And yeah, you'll be getting a requisition from Culinarian Mossbrook. Hope that's okay with you.
The notice includes a rare crafting material as part of the reward for our effort.
He nods. Yeah, that's your requisition. It's
fair enough.
It's a thing. Sorry.
I'm a brand new Culinarian. You'll have to excuse my ignorance.
He kind of leans in a little bit. Oh yeah, you're one of them associates. Yeah, we heard about you guys coming in. Hey, you're the first I've ever met. It's nice to meet you. Hey, hold on. Roa's gonna want to meet you too. He's the lead administrator for this embassy. Hey, Roa, get in here. You hear a rattling from one of the doors behind him, and so like 20-30 seconds later, opening the door is an abnormally small kobold. What do you want, Jack? He says, "Oh, Roll, hey, listen. Lost her again.
I am so sorry. I don't know why that happened.
It's fine. He goes, it's so nice to meet you. Well, honestly, we've been looking for some fresh blood, or any blood, after all the trade routes dried up. He looks up at the Umberwelk means. Oh, you're here for a turn-in. Great. Listen, Jack, why don't you take care of the turn-in? I will go and I'll give these fine folks proper room and board, and we'll get them set up proper. You must be tired after the trip, right?
Yes, we would love accommodations for the evening. Thank you.
He smiles and says, anything. Goodness, you look like you went through a storm. Come back to my office first. Jack, you can handle that, I'm sure.
Before we leave, I'm gonna try to hand him the notice for the dog and Bert.
Sorry, who are you handing that to?
The first guy.
To Jack.
Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He's cool dog. Yeah, sorry, this isn't
Bert.
Bert, nice to meet you, man. I'm Jack. Hey, listen, this notice here, this isn't Culinarian's Guild. Sorry, man, I can't take this dog.
And this is how we got a dog named Bert. Yes!
All according to plan.
Just to be clear, we came to the small island of Noka's Bay and stole a dog.
Yes.
Sure does seem that way.
We acquired a new companion. I guess it's true. I never did ask. Does Bert have any like a collar or any markings on him that say like?
Totally.
Oh God! You can't keep Bert. Go take him back.
It doesn't have a tag, but it definitely has a bit of rope around its neck. Not like a noose, but just like a collar.
We'll have to ask the dock master.
I'm just gonna have to take
knows
that
who
off.
He belongs to. You can't keep someone else's dog. If they want to give him to us, that's fine. We can even pay for him.
Roa leads the lot of you back, and you pass by a pretty sizable hall and a couple side rooms that you see along the way with all sorts of different accommodations or supplies, offices, things like that, before you finally come to a pretty decent sized one where Roa has assembled, honestly, quite a collection of culinary clutter. There are enough stools and chairs that you guys can find a place to sit, and he's sorry for the mess. I've just been a little predisposed is all. But hi, I am Roa. I'm happy to help. I was told that we were to give all of the associates room and board, so I will take care of that right away, or I'll probably make Jack do it. But first, is there anything that you need from the guild? Any supplies? Any resources, information? That's one of the things we're supposed to give you, right? Anything news related that's happened, I'm happy to pass along if you'd like.
I was wondering, and I pull out the dire Umberwelk shell. I was wondering if this could be fashioned into a shield of some sort.
He takes a look. Oh wow, this is quite the piece. Did you carve this?
With some help, actually. Yes.
Wow. Oh, I'm proud of you. Wow, they found some good associates. I assumed that you were just going to be street rabble. Okay. We can absolutely get that back to our craftsmen back on the mainland. It might take a minute, but I'm sure we could fashion that into new equipment, or we could upgrade other equipment you have if you would prefer that.
Probably just make new stuff.
No problem, no problem. I'm happy to. Let's see. Hey, we'll probably need a bit more in the way of resources. I'll tell you what. I will get you in contact with our craftsman, and we'll see about what you would like with this new equipment. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Great. Okay. What else? What else can I do for you?
Roa, have you had any recent communications about Culinary and Razme?
Oh, I heard about that. Oh, well, I guess a sad story. He's got a reputation. No, he turned up. Wonderful, right? He was missing when I saw that notice. Some other associates found him. He had been lost in the sewers for days. And when they finally found him, he attacked. Like he sounded like he had an episode. He was screaming about rats, and that sounds right. He had a restaurant.
Well, that's odd.
So I guess we can cross that off our list.
I have already deleted it from your notice board list. Because it was no longer available for you to do. Yeah, let's see. What other news from the mainland can I give you? Not... Well, I don't know how long it's been since you were at the mainland, but we haven't heard much.
On our approach to Noka Bay, we saw several ships congregated. They looked almost like Culinarian Guild ships. Do you know any reason why there'd be a meeting of so many ships in one place?
At Skullfruit, yeah.
That makes sense. There's a lot of produce that comes from Skullfruit, including the titular Skullfruits. I bet if those are other teams, they're on their way there to try and harvest Skullfruits for whatever their Culinarian's dish is going to be. Ooh, actually, now that I think about it, that many Culinarian ships on an Orcish island, that might be a problem. They're not always the best with sudden hospitality.
Something to watch out for, then, I suppose.
Well, I mean, you can go to the island, and you could probably. It sounds like you would have some Culinarians Guild backup, but you might just need to be diplomatic with the locals, is all. No, I'm not saying they're bad. They're lovely. It's just orc tribes can be a little assertive.
Fair enough. I have one other question. What
Please.
is a Zokar?
Ooh.
In our recent travels, we've come across the name of this creature, but I'm not familiar with it.
You heard about my request, then?
Indeed.
Well, sorry, I probably shouldn't even have that out for associates. It's a sea serpent of sorts. He stretches his arms out and realizes that that's like not actually big enough for what he's trying to do. He says, well, the skull, the head of it is probably... Oh, he points to Mira and says, about as tall as you are, or wide as you are tall. That works. Sorry, I need it for my rituals. It's... Well, my rituals, my research into some storm rituals. The Zokar is... It's a lightning serpent. A lightning sea serpent. Oh, I'm sorry. Is any of this making sense?
Some. Is there any place locally here we'd accidentally run afoul of the creature?
I can't say I know where a Zokar nest would be. If we knew, we'd probably send a battalion of hunters to remove the nest. But
So it's an elusive beast. When you say nest, is it a flying serpent?
no, it's just we most of the monsters will make a nest or a den or something. I don't know what you call a nest underwater. Is it still a nest? Oh,
A den of sorts?
That thing. Yeah, a den. We'll go with the den.
A clutch, a rookery.
I can't dwell on that. Sorry. It's also entirely possible you might just find a merchant that has one. They're very valuable, but good parts like that can be found in trade, so it might come up.
Thank you. I just wanted to have more information. Knowledge is power, after all.
Of course. Sorry, I wish I could give you more information, and please feel free if you have any other questions. I will do my best to answer them.
I'll shake his slight hand and leave the room. I have nothing else.
Okay. Waiting for you outside is Jack, who we're going to fast forward a little bit, gets you set up with accommodations. You have a room for the night. There's fresh water and fruit waiting for you. You accidentally got yourselves a suite at the hotel of sorts.
Sweet.
There are little craft chocolates on your pillow.
Aww.
And we're going to call it there.
Hooray.
With the reward of 200 gold, are we evenly splitting that amongst the party, or should one person just hang on to the money for now?
That is a party question.
Yeah, I just don't want to lose
50 gold each.
So
Nice.
I think it's probably a good idea to split it up evenly because, like, I'm having my boots and belt crafted, and Rayun's having a shield potentially crafted. So I think it's a good idea for each of us, since we'll have our own interests, to have our own funds too.
Okay. My only assertion then would be that we split it 5 ways. While Morithos isn't here tonight, he was here for the kill, so
yeah.
I think we each get 40 gold.
Sir, he was asleep on the boat when we killed that thing.
He was here for some of it.
I know, I'm just kidding.
40 gold, okay.
I have to be a shitbag to him, so.
Nice. That's what
So
my character would do.
When he comes back and watches this podcast, he's gonna know that I was being a shitbag to him, and it's not just while he's here.
I mean, we'll have to have collective requisitions, right? Because we can't split the one requisition that we got. But I think gold is a good thing for us to split.
Okay.
All right.
So 40 each? Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here. I have been excited for this session for a little while.
Yeah.
The dire Umberwelk definitely was a lot more imposing before you guys were like, we just go back to the ship. They're totally right. But, I wasn't going to punish you guys for having a good idea. So, yeah, we went with it. I also, full honesty, didn't know that you were submersible when I designed this. Like, you mentioned that like 4 or 5 sessions ago, and I had already designed the idea behind this area, and I was like, oh, man.
That's if something finally came in handy with my blue skin. That was exciting.
Yeah. So I'm glad we got to do that. But yeah, I designed this and then found that out, and I'm like, well, all right, great. So yeah, I think that covers just about everything. I love you all. Very briefly, I will point out that the next session is scheduled for September 30th.
Yep.
And that's about all I have to say. So I'm going to let you guys out 8 whole minutes early.
Woo! Good night, everyone.
Woohoo!
I have an observation about Roll 20.
Please?
The most recent update changed the curvature on the health bars. I don't know if you noticed that, but it also finally fixed the bug with the long rest, short rest buttons. They're now working perfectly. I used mine during our long rest today, so if you want to toggle those back on, or if you didn't know that those existed, in the cogwheel menu in the upper right-hand corner, scrolling down on the far right-hand side, under general options, one of the last or second to last options should be short/long rest with a toggle of on or off. If you toggle it on, back in the core menu, below your personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, you'll have a short rest button and long rest button. Clicking the long rest button gives you back all of your hit points, all of your hit dice, and sets all of your spells back to full. And short rest will return the activations of anything that you're tracking in-game using those short rest features.
I didn't know that. That's super cool.
I love it.
They put it in like January, but it was not accurate